Hey there, Algebra 2 class. We are going to go over how to do this, dividing polynomials today. So, every example that I do, please write it down and go through it with me, pause as needed, and put these examples in your notes. Okay, so first thing we're going to look at is just long division with numbers, something you did back in, I don't know what, 4th grade, something like that, 5th grade. Anyway, let's look at the process, because then we're going to use the same kind of process or similar process for dividing polynomials. All right, so what you do when you're dividing 2,843 by 27, some terminology here. This is called the divisor. This is called the dividend. What's underneath the divided by sign. And then when you get your answer, you're going to get what's called the quotient. Okay, so let me erase that here. The process. Okay, so what you do when you're dividing with long division is we're first going to look at our divisor, and we look at, like, okay, 27 doesn't go into 2, but it does go into 28. So we're going to multiply 27 times 1, and we put a 1 up here, and then we take 27 times 1 and we write that right here. And then what do you do with that? You subtract. So 8 minus 7 is 1, 2 minus 2 is 0. And bring down the 4. Well, 27 doesn't go into 14, so we put a 0 up here. It goes in 0 times, and we get 0. 27 times 0 is going to be 0. And bring this down, you get 14, and then you bring the 3 down, and we subtracted there. And then you got to look at, okay, well, 27 goes into 143 how many times? And we could guess, maybe let's try 6. So 7 times 6 is 42, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, that's too big. So 27 times, let's go 5, and we get 35, 13, that works. So it goes in 5 times, so we put our 5 up here. 27 times 5 is 135, and then we subtract. 13, remember the subtraction piece. 13 minus 5, I have to borrow from here, is 8. Oops. And then 27 doesn't go into 8, and I don't have any more to carry down. I could go into decimals, but that's not how it works with polynomials. So this is called a remainder. And the way that you can write the solution here to this problem, this is what we're really doing. 2,843 divided by 27 is equal to the quotient plus the remainder over the divisor. So if you take, in my calculator, if I divide 2,843 divided by 27, it's equal to, and you can do this on your own, 105.2962963. And let's compare it to that. So basically we have the 105, so the decimal part would be the 8 divided by 27, which is the same thing that you get here. So this is the process, and we're going to do this, we're going to apply this with polynomials. Okay, so this is a polynomial of degree 4, because the monomial with the highest degree is 4. The lead coefficient is 3. This polynomial has 1, 2, 3, 4 terms, and we're dividing by a binomial. And so we have a 4th degree term, we have a 3rd degree, so the 4th degree term, we have a 3rd degree term. We are missing a 2nd degree term. So there's a missing term, and you're going to need to be looking for this when you're doing these problems. And then a 1st degree term, and then this is a constant, which is really like a 0 degree term. So what we're going to do, we're taking this polynomial right here, but I want to throw in a 0x squared to keep things lined up neatly. If you don't do this piece. It just makes it a little bit more challenging. It's still doable, but you're going to want to put in any missing terms. And then we're dividing by the second polynomial, x minus 2. Okay, so now what you need to do when you're doing polynomial division versus long division with numbers is you're going to look at, you want to take a look at this first term in the divisor and this first term in the dividend. And you're going to think to yourself, what do I have to multiply x by to get 3x to the fourth? And the answer is we have to multiply by 3x to the third. So I'm going to write that down right here. And then you take that 3x to the third and we're going to multiply it by this whole thing here, this whole divisor. So, and you're going to put that result right underneath the 3x to the fourth plus 2x cubed. So when I multiply through, 3x to the third times another x is 3x to the fourth. And we picked 3x to the third to multiply by because we wanted it to, we want to get rid of this first term. So when we end up subtracting, that 3x to the fourth is going to disappear, or it's going to add to 0. But then I also have to multiply the 3x to the third times the negative 2, a positive times a negative, that's going to be negative 6x cubed. So now the process is we're going to subtract, and you have to subtract both terms here. So we have a positive 2x cubed, and we're subtracting a negative. Minus a negative becomes plus. So this is going to be 8x cubed. And the lead terms here are going to add to 0, and we designed it that way. That's why we multiplied by 3x to the third, so that that term would drop out or add to 0. Okay, then the next step is we're going to take this 0x squared and drop it down. Just like you do with the numbers, that next number comes down. And now you're going to look at this x right here and this first term, 8x cubed. What do you have to multiply x by to get 8x cubed? I want you to think about it for a minute. And the answer is we have to multiply by 8x squared. And so I'm going to take 8x squared times x minus 2, and I'm going to put that right down here. So when I distribute 8x squared, I get 8x cubed. And notice when we subtract, that term is going to disappear. And then I have 8x squared times negative 2, which is minus 16, a positive times a negative, minus 16x squared. And what do you do with it? You subtract. And this is where I see a lot of mistakes. You have to make sure that, so this is a 0x squared. And notice if we hadn't put this missing term in here, then I wouldn't have like terms that I'm trying to work with here. So 0x squared minus a negative becomes plus. So this is going to actually be positive 16x squared. And then we're going to drop the next term down, this minus x. And then I'm going to look at this x right here and think to myself, what do I have to multiply x by to get the 16x squared? And the answer is negative or positive 16x. So now I'm going to go 16x times this x minus 2, and I'm going to put that right underneath those two terms. So 16x times x is 16x squared. And 16x times the negative 2 is minus 32x. And then we're subtracting. So I have a negative x up here minus negative 32. So I'm going to actually add 32 to negative 1, which makes it a positive 31x. If you need to rewind and watch that again, any of this, please do. But I'm going to continue on here. I'm going to think to yourself, like, what would the next step be? And that next step would be to drop this plus 4 down there. And now I'm looking at this x term again and the 31x. And I have to figure out what I have to multiply by to get 31x. And the answer is a positive 31. So then I'm going to multiply 31 times x minus 2 and put that result right underneath here. So I get 31x and then minus 62. I think I did that right. Come on. All right, hold on. Computer can't keep up. All right, so then we're going to subtract these terms. So 4 minus a negative 62, again, it ends up, we add the 62. So 4 plus 62 is 66. And this 31x minus 31x is 0. And now there's no x left, and so we can't divide 60, we can't multiply anything x by anything to get 66. We'd have to actually divide. So this right here is our remainder. And so the answer to this division problem is our quotient, which is this, plus the remainder, which was 66, over the divisor. All right, so this whole thing, I shouldn't end the circle there. This is the answer when we do the polynomial division. All right, I will add more examples to the assignment, and but if you need to rewatch this video, do it until you start really understanding it. All right.